I typed one sentence describing a phone stand with an adjustable angle and watched actual 3D printable code appear, get rendered into a preview image, get checked for errors, and get corrected automatically, all before I touched a single CAD tool myself. That's not a rendering trick, and it's not a plugin doing something magical. It's the result of pairing a coding-based CAD program with an AI model that happens to be exceptional at exactly one thing traditional CAD software was never built for: writing precise geometric code from a plain description. It works because, unlike most 3D design software, which is click and drag based, this specific tool builds models entirely from written code, meaning an AI model can generate, read, and edit your 3D design the exact same way it edits a script or a spreadsheet formula. I only share methods I test myself, so every step and every failure in this video came from actually building real models this way. Quick ask before we start: like this video and subscribe. It genuinely helps. Let's start with what each piece of this setup actually does, because understanding the roles clearly is what prevents confusion later. The CAD tool itself, OpenSCAD, is free and open source, and instead of dragging shapes around on a canvas, you write code that mathematically describes cubes, cylinders, and how they combine, subtract, or intersect with each other. That code-based structure is precisely why this pairs so well with an AI model, because generating code from a description is something these models are already exceptional at, far more reliably than trying to interpret and manipulate a purely visual click-based interface. VS Code's role here is simply the editing environment, a proper syntax-highlighted workspace for writing and reviewing that code, alongside a live preview extension so you can watch your model update as the underlying code changes. Claude's role is the actual design work, taking your plain language description, writing the corresponding code, and critically, checking its own output visually before handing it back to you. That visual self-check is the single most important piece of this entire workflow, so let's cover exactly how it works. Here's the real problem this solves. An AI model can write geometrically correct code and still produce something that looks completely wrong, because code correctness and visual correctness are not the same thing, and a model reading raw code has no actual way to see the shape it just described. The fix built into a proper setup here is a rendering step. The code gets automatically converted into an image, sometimes several images from different angles, front, side, top. And the model then looks at that rendered image before deciding whether the design is actually right. That loop, write code, render an image, look at the image, adjust the code, is what separates a workflow that produces genuinely usable models from one that just produces code that happens to compile without errors. Let's walk through a real example so you can see that loop in action. I asked for a mini piano, a simple, ordinary request, and the first generated version came back technically complete, but visually it looked more like a plain box with slits cut into it than an actual piano. Instead of accepting that first pass, I said it looked too toy-like, and the next version came back with rounded edges, proper proportions, and pedals added, genuinely closer to a recognizable piano shape. I pushed once more, noting the keys themselves were too hidden inside the design, and the following version recessed the upper cabinet so the keyboard sat visibly in view, exactly addressing that one specific note. 3 rounds, 3 specific pieces of feedback, each one clearly addressed in the next version, and that's what a properly working iteration loop actually looks like. Now here's the mistake that quietly ruins this workflow for a lot of people, and it's worth watching for specifically. There's a documented real case of someone giving 2 separate adjustment instructions in the same message: extend one edge to properly meet a corner, and separately, reshape another part into a connected half circle. And the very next version came back essentially unchanged. Neither correction actually applied. The likely cause is that bundling multiple distinct geometric changes into one instruction makes it harder for the model to cleanly separate which specific part of the code needs to change for each request, especially with 3D geometry, where one shape's position often depends mathematically on another's. The fix is the same principle you'd use directing any detailed technical work. One specific, isolated change per message confirmed and rendered before you move to the next one, rather than stacking several fixes together and hoping all of them land correctly at once. This costs you a few more iterations overall, but each individual iteration succeeds reliably, which ends up faster than repeatedly re-explaining several tangled corrections that never quite land together. Now, let's cover the practical setup itself, because getting this running takes about 10 minutes. Install OpenSCAD directly from its own official site. It's free, lightweight, and available on every major operating system. Install a dedicated OpenSCAD extension inside VS Code for syntax highlighting and live preview, so you can watch your model's geometry update visually as the underlying code changes. For the AI side, you have two practical paths: using Claude directly inside a chat and pasting code back and forth manually, or setting up a dedicated skill inside Claude code that automates the entire render check export loop for you without manually copying it every step. The dedicated skill approach is significantly smoother for serious repeated use, since it handles syntax validation, multi-angle preview rendering, and STL export automatically as part of the same conversation, rather than you manually running each step yourself between messages. Once your model looks right in the rendered previews, exporting to STL, the actual file format your 3D printer or printing service needs, is typically one more instruction away inside that same conversation. Here's the golden tip that turns this from a fun experiment into a genuinely reliable design tool. Keep all dimensions in your design as a named variable at the top of the file, rather than a number buried somewhere inside the geometry itself, because that's what makes a design properly parametric, meaning you or Claude can adjust one clearly labeled value, like wall thickness or overall height, without having to hunt through the entire file for every place that number happens to appear. Ask explicitly for that structure up front when you request your first design. Something as simple as keep all key dimensions as named variables at the top, and every future adjustment becomes a single clean edit instead of a fragile search and replace across scattered numbers. That one habit, specific single-issue feedback per iteration, combined with clean parametric variables from the very first version, is what actually determines whether you end up with a genuinely reusable design file or a one-off model you'll have to rebuild from scratch the next time you need a slightly different size. I test new AI deals every week. If a new free method comes out, you'll see it here first. One last practical note before you go build something yourself. This entire category of tooling is moving fast. New integration methods and dedicated skills for this exact workflow are appearing regularly, so the specific setup steps here may already have a faster or more automated version available by the time you're watching this. Search for the current recommended integration method before committing to a manual setup, since a newer version might save you several of the steps we just walked through. In the next video, I'm designing a genuinely complex multi-part assembly this exact way, several interlocking pieces that all have to fit together correctly, to see whether this workflow holds up beyond simple single-object designs. Subscribing is the only way you'll see whether it actually survives that test.